You're listening to Lead Stories on PRN.FM. I'm Utrice Leid. Funeral services were held Saturday for Sandra Bland, the 28-year-old woman who was found dead in a jail cell in Waller County, Texas, on July the 13th, 3 days after being arrested for failing to signal when changing lanes. State and federal investigations into her death continue, but local medical examiners are insisting that she died from, quote, self-inflicted asphyxiation, unquote. Official focus, predictably, has centered on Bland's alleged suicide to expunge itself from blame. But her death and the chain of events that led up to it are deeply rooted in a history we know all too well. I just want to play you a very short piece from that encounter that Sandra Bland had with a police officer who pulled her over and was about to ticket her for switching lanes without using her signal. State Trooper Brian Encinia was attempting to arrest Sandra Bland, and this was part of the initial encounter. You will hear one, perhaps, or two cuss words in the interchange, but I decided that it would be important to just maintain what she said and what happened as this encounter ensued.
Ma'am. You okay?
I'm waiting on you. This is your job. I'm waiting on you. What do you want me to
Oh,
say?
you seem very irritated.
I am. I really am. But I feel like this crap is what I'm getting a ticket for. I was getting out of your way. You were speeding up, tailing me. So I move over and you stop me. So yeah, I am a little irritated, but that doesn't stop you from giving me a ticket. So let's continue.
Are you done?
You asked me what was wrong, and I told you.
Okay.
So now I'm done. Yeah.
Okay. You mind putting out your cigarette, please, if you don't mind?
I'm in my car. Why do I have to put out my cigarette?
Well, you can step on out now.
I don't have to step out of my car.
Step out of the car. Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right.
Step out of the car.
You do not have the right to do that.
I do have the right. Now step out or I will remove you.
I refuse to talk to you other than to identify myself.
Step out or I will remove you.
I am getting removed for a failure.
Step out or I will remove you. I'm giving you a lawful order. Get out of the car now or I'm going to remove you.
And I'm calling my lawyer.
I'm going to yank you out of here.
Okay, you're going to yank me out of my car?
Get out.
Okay. All right.
25.
Let's do this.
Yeah, we're going to.
Yeah. Don't touch me.
Get out of the car.
Don't touch me. I'm not under arrest. You don't have the right to take
You
me out
are
of my
under
car.
arrest.
I'm under arrest for what?
25.
For what?
7 County FM 1098. Just
For
north
what?
of 290. Send me another unit. Get out of the car.
Another unit FM 1098.
Get out of the car now.
Why am I being apprehended? You trying to give me a ticket
I
for
said
your failure?
get out of the car.
Why am I being apprehended? You
I'm
just
giving
opened
you a
my
lawful
car
order.
door. You just
I'm
opened
going
my
to
car
drag you
door.
out of here.
So you threatening to drag me out of my own car?
Get out of the car.
And then you
I will
stun
light
me?
you up. Get out.
Wow.
Now.
Wow.
Get out of the
Really,
car.
for a failure to signal. You doing all of this for
Get
a failure
over there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, let's take this to court. Let's do
Go
it.
ahead.
For a failure to signal. Yep, for a failure to signal.
Get off the phone.
On my school.
Get off the phone.
I'm not on the phone. I have a right
Put
to
your
record.
phone
This is
down.
my property. This
Put
is
your
my
phone
property.
down.
Sir?
Put your phone down. Right now. Put your phone down.
For a fucking failure to signal, my goodness.
Come over here.
Y'all are interesting.
Come
Very
over here now.
interesting. You feeling good about yourself?
Stand right here.
You feeling good about yourself?
Stand right
For
there.
a failure to signal, you feel real good
Turn
about
around.
yourself, don't you?
Turn around.
You feel good about yourself,
Turn
don't you?
around now.
What are you?
Put your hands
Why
behind
am
the
I
back and
being
turn around.
arrested?
Turn around.
Why can't you tell me
I'm giving you a lawful order. I will tell
Why am I
you.
being arrested?
Turn
Why
around.
won't you tell me that part?
I'm giving you a lawful order. Turn around.
Why will you not tell me
You are
what's
not
going
compliant.
on? I'm not complying because you just pulled me out of my car.
Turn around.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That was the encounter that Sandra Bland had with State Trooper Brian Encinia. And you can hear from the tone of the state trooper's voice that it was just dripping with contempt for this woman. She did not stand a chance against his attitude and his perception of total authority over her. So she's taken to the jail, where she has to raise $5,000 to get out on bond. And over the course of those 3 days, she's unable to raise the money. And then she turns up dead. Supposedly, in a semi-standing position, she hanged herself using a garbage bag that was in the cell. I can't tell you how, the flood of emotions about this particular case, because the outcome was just so outrageous, so wrong, so unjust, so unfair, and yet so common. This is a truth everybody knows. This is how huge swaths of the United States live every day. I talked about it last week, about the intense stress that people are living with just because they're living and breathing and trying to mind their own business. Here's a young woman who was returning to her alma mater, Prairie View A&M, to start a job. She had already gone out and bought groceries and stocked up her house in anticipation of beginning this job. When her path crosses this maniacal state trooper who says things that should cause people to almost lose your mind when you hear this gun. I will light you up. I'm going to yank you out of the car like a thug. This is the language of a thug. This is the language of a criminal. And we are clear that she was not a criminal. She just apparently had switched lanes and did not signal that she was switching lanes. This, as far as I know, is not a capital offense. Nor should it have caused that kind of an exchange, except that officer or state trooper Encinia had learned something from the culture of the world he's in, the professional world that he's in, and something of the culture of the community that he's operating in. He already was acclimated as to how you treat certain people and how you can treat them with impunity. Now people are telling us that the issue is whether she killed herself. The indirect implication here is that the concern is the system protecting itself, the system saying this was an administrative blunder on the part of the cop, on the part of the trooper. And we will fix that, more training and, the usual things that they trot out. We'll have more training and sensitivity training and blah, blah, blah. But the fact is, at the precise moment that his path crossed that of Sandra Bland, he was acting as an agent of the state, and he was an emissary of its culture. This woman could not really comprehend the enormity of the drastic change that was about to occur in her life, where she would, against her will, against policy, against logic, be summarily cut off and isolated and subjected to serious penalties for something that anybody would agree is just so trivial. And a life, another black life, pays for administrative indiscretion. And still, the system's response is, well, we will see what codes or what procedures went awry here. This is what I mean. This is what I mean by getting real about our existence in this country. In a matter of minutes, in fact, in a matter of seconds, because the minute this woman decided that she was going to affirm her so-called rights, that signaled to this state trooper that he had to remind her as an agent of the state, and possibly even as an individual himself, personally, that she had no rights that he needed to respect, that he needed to honor, that he needed to safeguard. I felt so awful. I can't imagine the impact that this woman had, isolated as she was, for something so completely trivial. It's not even a crime. It's an infraction. It's not even a crime. And I talked about white supremacy having this effect, that you begin to turn on yourself because that's part of the success of the system. It makes you turn on yourself. What did I do to deserve this? Why are they doing this to me? Why is it that they picked me? Self-victimization. You blame yourself for the insanity of a system and the people who willingly appoint themselves as its agents. And today we hear another black woman, Loretta Lynch, the U.S. Attorney General, saying, well, of course, we'll investigate. We'll investigate this. But on the basis, not that this officer, this state trooper committed a crime here, or that the system in any way is guilty of a crime, but reviewing it for administrative review and for tinkering with some procedures, setting new procedures, and there will be new forms, and there will be new directives, and new memos will go out the following week. We are not talking here about the good old system that automatically places both Sandra Bland and the state trooper in their respective roles as required by a white supremacist system that uses, among its many different tools, the criminal justice system, the prosecutorial system, the law enforcement system, to maintain control, utter and complete control. I felt so sad. And I felt so outraged and angry that the community as a whole itself has descended into a level of complacency. And believe me, I am not trying to blame anybody for anything. I'm perfectly aware that there are people who are questioning things and are outraged too. But I'm saying one still expects, perhaps unrealistically, that we had come to a point where we understand that Sandra Bland is me, I'm Sandra Bland. That there's a larger community of involved people involved in this question of affirming the community's rights. This isn't supposed to be up to her family and friends and people who know her to go on the offensive here. This is supposed to be an entire nation, if in fact we are about justice. If in fact we don't see, quote, color, unquote, but we see the misapplication of the law, and we are irritated about the misapplication of law in this instance. If we see great injustice done that causes a life to be lost, and the police, the state trooper who set this whole thing in motion, enculturated into the culture of that system, is simply put on administrative leave. At what point do we say, you know what? We're not going to go down this route anymore. We're not going to just be satisfied about the administration tinkering with itself and coming up with new procedures. Lives, if we believe that lives matter, we can't just settle for that. We've got to get serious about this thing. But we, in many cases, have become numbed by the sheer volume, the sheer numbers of people who have been dispatched from this earth in all of these unjust ways, wrong ways, illegal ways. And I bring the question back to you and to me. What are we doing? What are we doing? Except, we pause for a good couple of seconds and we say, oh, what a sad thing that was, and we move on with our lives as if Sandra Bland didn't even matter. That's where we are, for the most part, I think. We pause for a couple of seconds, and Sandra Bland soon becomes a distant memory.